Well, good morning, dear friends. Can you hear me? Good. Had a little bit of a microphone freak out this morning. It requires some 48-degree power from the mixer. So, how lovely to have another Groundhog Day with you. For anyone who's joining us perhaps for the first time, my name is Robert Beatty. I'm the founder and guiding teacher of the Portland Insight Meditation Community here in Portland, Oregon. And it's a damp place this morning. Well, we had some significant rain yesterday. Probably not enough to help the plants, but was enough to be, I was working outside in it, and it was enough to get wet. So here we are, we gathered together once again around the campfire of awakening, around the heat and light and wisdom that come down to us from 2,600 years from the Buddha. And so I welcome you here on Zoom. I've had an interesting experience with Zoom this morning. I got started a little late, and so anyway, I've been hearing everyone come in. Everyone makes a little ding for me. Do you hear the dings? No, yes, you do. Oh, okay. And somehow or another that I kept having this image of someone walking through the door of the Dharma hall, and another person. And it's so beautiful that we get together like this. So, I have a poem. It's from Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu, who was one of two things, a compendium of wise teachings, a compendium of wise teachings that were put together under one name, or it was a person, Lao Tzu. So, this is from, most of us are more familiar with this book, the Tao Te Ching. This is from the Hua Hu Ching, which is the practical instructions for meditators. This is the nature of the unenlightened mind.
Robert,
yes.
your picture is not filling the screen and it's frozen, and then it'll move a little bit and then freeze. There, you're filling the screen now.
Huh. I have no idea what to do about it. I'll unplug the internet and plug it back in. I mean, who knows? Reboot. That make any difference?
Well, there's a chat note. No. Keeps changing. I think you're real time now. I think the video.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No. Picture and you are not together.
Maybe that's true of me this morning. So
that there's no sound on Facebook.
Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm sending sound to Facebook. That's weird. This is a great example of something over which one has zero control, isn't it? If one were... All I have, and it's an interesting thing, I have the dials here, and it says There's a picture. Oh, I see. Wait a minute. There's no picture on Facebook. That's true. There's now me rather than the advertising. Any difference now, Jim? Whoa, CPU at 95%. The whole thing's about to blow up. I don't know what to do except go on.
My computer says it's got weak bandwidth also. So maybe there's something going on, the wires overhead.
Or in the Comcast system, they're punishing us. Well, I think I want to go ahead. Can you hear me even if it's delayed?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll go on with a low level of technical proficiency or perfection. All right. This is the nature of the unenlightened mind. The sense organs, which are limited in scope and ability, randomly gather information. This partial information is arranged into judgments, which are based on previous judgments, which are usually based on someone else's foolish ideas. These false concepts and ideas are stored in a highly selective memory system. Distortion upon distortion, the mental energy flows constantly through contorted and inappropriate channels. And the more one uses the mind, the more confused one becomes. To eliminate this vexation of mind, it doesn't help to do something. This only reinforces the mind's mechanics. Dissolving the mind is instead a matter of not doing. Simply avoid becoming attached to what you see and think. Relinquish the notion that you are separated from the all-knowing mind of the universe. Then you can recover your original pure insight and see through all illusions. Knowing nothing, you will be aware of everything. Remember, because clarity and awakening are within your own nature, they are regained without ever moving an inch. To eliminate this vexation of the mind, it doesn't help to do something. This only reinforces the mind's mechanics. Dissolving the mind is instead a matter of not doing. Simply avoid becoming attached to what you see and think. Relinquish the notion that you are separated from the all-knowing mind of the universe. Then you can recover your original pure insight and see through all illusions. Knowing nothing, you will be aware of everything. Remember, because clarity and enlightenment are within your own nature, they are regained without ever moving an inch. The practice of not doing. In what should we take refuge? The world is so unstable, so utterly unstable. So Buddhists, followers of the Buddha for 2,600 years, have taken refuge in the Buddha, in the historical Gautama, the historical Siddhartha Gautama who woke up, but more fundamentally in that in us which is the Buddha, which is awake. And then what do we see, what do we know with this awakeness? Well, it's the way things really are, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the community of practice. invite you to join me, reflecting on the meaning of the words. Not just an idle little song, but how could this shape today differently? I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. And so we come to the best part of the day. That time of doing nothing. Of resting in the beauty of your being. Notice that there is, in fact, a body sitting here. It sits and it's alive. And not only is it alive, but there is awareness that contains it or that knows it. How does that happen? I don't have any idea. I don't think anyone has the least idea. But it does happen. Right now, you could even direct this awareness to your feet, to the sense of warmth or coolness that you find here and there in your body. To your hands, to the face, to the breathing. And what if we were to allow awareness to simply be open, which is its nature? To have space for any sounds which are present, including this voice. In my case, there are little pointillist sounds I interpret as rain, all sides of me. There's the roar of traffic in the distance. It's much louder than it was just a few days ago. Comparing mind. So let us use the sensations of breathing to teach us about beginnings and endings, impermanence. How intimately can you embrace each and every breath? Notice that it has a beginning. It has a rising to fullness, and then a decline, and then an ending. Thoughts also have their beginning, middle, and ending. Moods too, though they last longer, usually. The 5 hindrances come and go. Noticing what's happening. Be awake for yourself. there is a gentle, persistent returning to the sensations in the body of breathing. A kind of resting in the breath in the present moment. The ceaseless struggles of thought to figure things out and to make ourselves safe really are tiring. And so to let go of thought, to realize that thought is one more object in the sphere of experience, is such a profound relief. Noticing the nature of the mind right now. Is it calm, quiet, restful? Or perhaps restless? Is it satisfied with the present moment, or is it wanting something else? craving, desiring. Is it perhaps surprisingly sweet and at ease? Or the opposite? Is there something maybe a bit startling or worrisome? This is all perfect practice. Please escape from the notion that you have to silence the mind, that you have to be in bliss to be effective in your meditation. It's more pleasant for sure, but coming to accept what is the path of liberation. These raindrops, the molecules in these raindrops were the Pacific Ocean not long ago, a day or two. The sun evaporating them and bringing them to us. It's a vast ecological system, incomprehensibly vast, and we are an intimate part of it. We come out of the earth, we return to the earth. Ecological principles underlie our spiritual practice. We are, with consciousness, with mindfulness, uprooting greed, hatred, and ignorance when we can. And then we're planting non-greed, non-hate, and non-ignorance. We're planting mindfulness, and curiosity, and effort, persistence. Joy, tranquility, equanimity, concentration. And so please now take a moment to notice the transition, and to take a moment to let your body stretch a little bit. Maybe while doing that, think a loving thought about yourself, a loving intention. There's a little plane crossing overhead from northeast to southwest. Whenever I'm conscious, I like to just send a kind thought, a loving thought to the people in the planes. May they just all of a sudden feel good, feel safe, feel loved. They don't need to know why. Let them think it was them. Of course it was them, because we're one living organism here on the earth. I must end our meeting at 8 o'clock sharp this morning. I have a PIMC board meeting at 8, and we use this same channel. So I'm going to take just a moment to share the awakening diagram with you. What I call the awakening process. There it is. It's a little small, isn't it? I'm going to make it bigger. So, this is, of course, just a schematic. It's not the way things are, but it's a way of looking at this awakening that we're doing, that we're part of. Oops, a little more, one more. There we go. So, over the last few days, we've gone from setting out on the journey to the untrained mind, to the 5 hindrances. The task of abandoning or setting aside the hindrances, of coming to terms with them, learning how to work with them, working with our moral and ethical behavior and cleaning up our act. And then, and we visited this a couple of weeks ago, but this is more systematic now. If we're gardening, we not only pull weeds, but we plant crops. And it would seem as though we humans are capable, as discovered by the Buddha, we're capable of mindfulness. We're capable of being aware and aware of awareness even. With that mindfulness, we can be curious. And not everybody is. Lots of people are not curious at all about what's going on internally. And that's one of the ways that denial works. We don't have to realize that we're really unhappy or really lonely or filled with anger or sadness. We just don't pay attention to it. But this is the invitation to really pay attention. And the sitting meditation is really a scientific endeavor where we pay attention to what's happening. And then it takes some persistence or energy, some willingness to continue, which of course you manifested this morning by getting up to come and practice together. There's something that arises as we practice, which is rapture and joy and comfort and ease that comes in the meditation, caused by the meditation, or revealed by the meditation. We also are cultivating concentration, which is the mind's ability to focus on one object at a time and stay there. exactly antithetical to the smartphone and the constant passing through of images and changing direction. Equanimity, which we practice in meditation, is the ability to experience and stay with experiences when they're pleasant and unpleasant. And tranquility is that lovely experience of mind where the mind just isn't rushing around doing things. It's quite willing to be tranquil like a quiet lake. So that's all I want to say about that this morning. I think I'll come back to it tomorrow. And I guess I'd like to just open up to what you have to share. What are your joys and sorrows or learnings that you're getting to experience through this time of the coronavirus? So just press your unmute if you want to speak, and we'll be with you.
Qigong workshop, and that was to weave in the 7 factors of enlightenment with several different kinds of physical movements. And then I arrive here, and you're talking about the 7 factors of awakening, and so that's exactly what I'm going to do on Saturday. So I welcome anyone who wants to join me. 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. We'll do some mindful movement and look at these 7 factors a little.
How will they find the link to that, Jim?
Well, on the main page, there are basically 3 columns of information, and down on the right side, I think, in that 3rd column, there's a link to the Saturday operation.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else? What are your discoveries? I have an aging and decay complaint. I've had dry eye in my right eye for years, and normally I can do the proper treatment of soaking it with a hot face cloth, and this time it's not working. So I've talked to my doc about it, my ophthalmologist, but it's really an interesting practice to have this kind of itchy, burny, and it comes into focus and it's a problem, and then it comes into focus and it isn't a problem, and then I forget about it, and it's really, it's a chronic thing now, which I hope is not chronic, but you may notice I'm blinking a lot. It's because it feels weird. And it's normal, right? This is what these bodies do as they age. I am of the nature to age and sicken and die. Jeez. It's one thing to talk about that when you're young, and it's one thing to have it be more chronic and more systems. Not that I'm really complaining, because it could be a lot worse than this. Educational institution we've come to, called life.
Jessica here.
Hello, Jessica, my dear.
Hope everyone's well. I've had an interesting thing when I'm sitting lately. And so seeing the 7 enlightenment factors was very helpful to kind of calm me down. But it's almost like this inner eye of mine wants to show me visualizations constantly. And it's just, I'm trying to just be with it.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to like go, okay, that's what you want to show me. But I get some really like strange things. Like this morning, I wanted to be an insect in a bag and a something, I don't know. And I was like, oh, that's the law of whatever my strange mind wants to do. But it's just interesting because this is newer and I'm not sure. Then I kind of get caught up in that, ooh, but I shouldn't be analyzing this. Oh, I should be curious. And then it's like the whole thing like goes. So anyways, I was just hoping you might speak to that a bit. If there's a practice or something you brought to bear with that. I don't know. I'm hoping someone else does this from time to time.
You have no. I've never heard of anything like this. You are a totally anomalous, sick case.
Thank you. Thank
It's.
you.
We're going to write the book about you. Actually, this is right now your dry eye, and the mind is creating images, and then there's I shouldn't be doing this, and really the only thing to do is to relax into it and to notice what it is, and to make a note, for instance, like image or visualizing. And I lost you. Say something and it'll bring your picture back.
Oh, I had muted myself back
There-
up.
oh, that's good because somebody else came in. And these things will develop over time. And I'm remembering after that first 2-month retreat that I did, I got back to graduate school in Toronto, and I had Bob Dylan's Tambourine Man in mind, and I loved that song, and I still love that song. It's probably one of the more important songs of my lifetime. But it went on and on and on and on for days. It just wouldn't stop, and I got really crazed about it, and I thought something was wrong, and then I didn't notice when it stopped, but then one day it just stopped. And these things will emerge. And one thing to do, though, is to also observe, are you liking the images or disliking them? If there's a wanting them or not wanting them, they persist. If they're simply, oh, there's that, then it'll fade away. And also, the same is true with the analysis. Like, I shouldn't be analyzing. That, too, is just a mental phenomenon. And so to observe that for what it is, here's the judging mind. Thank you for sharing. Back to the breath. Make sense? And it can be really tedious. And then we observe tedious. Adina, hello, my dear.
Morning. I'm curious, how was your meeting with your grandchildren yesterday?
Oh, it was really nice. It was nice. I had a great time with them. Yep. And we weren't, there was one time when, two boys, geez, they're all over the place, and we were at Hag Lake. And there was one time when I zipped into Hag Lake and grabbed one of the boys, so I blew my social distancing, but I was very careful. I kept my mask on, and I did wash my hands carefully afterwards, but it was nice, thank you. It's a lot, 2 boys. Oof. 2 boys, 2 years apart. They're always going in opposite directions, except when they're colliding. I have your email. Since you asked, I'll send you a video of the bicycle incident. I'll do that. Now, interesting experience with that. You remembered and were tracking, and you asked that of me, and so I feel more connected and seen, and it's a beautiful thing we do for each other. We remember each other. So thank you. It's part of the challenge of this COVID-19 time. We're not getting the usual being seen and seeing of each other that we get to have.
Hi, Robert. Morning.
It's Gail.
Hi. Glad you're here this morning. I just wanted to mention something about this feeling like some kind of metamorphosis. It doesn't mean I haven't been through different things in my life, but maybe it's the combination of the virus issue and the isolation that lends itself towards introspection.
Right.
And with that, it feels like opportunity. But also, all butterflies coming out of their cocoons do suffer some on the way. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for me this morning.
Thank you, my butterfly friend.
Robert.
I hear someone. That's Jim. Hello, Jim.
Yes, there we go. Do you see me?
I see you loud and clear.
Good. Well, now, you asked what we've learned during this time. I'm not exactly sure what right speech is, but I think I'm learning something about the right words. And what I was learning is the difference between saying I want to leave and I want to go. And so the way this sort of worked out is that I've been with my partner 24/7 for I don't know how many months, and I wanted a break. But I happen to know I wanted to go away for 3 days. But I happen to know that from past experience that telling my partner I wanted to leave her wouldn't be even wouldn't be greeted with
Right.
And actually I didn't really want to leave her, and so what I came up with instead was, and I thought about this a bit, is that I told her I want to go on a retreat this month. I want to go on a 3-day retreat this month. I didn't ask for permission to go. I didn't say, was it okay? I said, this is what I want to do. I want to go on a retreat. And she said, well, when do you want to go? I said, it doesn't matter. Anytime, It's the place I want to go. And boy, it worked out really, it's working out really well, Mm-hmm. I'm going someplace. I'm not leaving something. I'm going someplace.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what right speech is, but I kind of know from experience. They said I want to leave. It wouldn't have worked out well,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow by wanting to go, it's the same place. It worked out well. So
Lovely.
So maybe sometime I can learn about right speech. Thank you.
I have a couple or 3 talks on YouTube on skillful speech. If you went to YouTube and put in Robert Beatty meditation, it'll bring up the list of there's 250 or so talks, and there's a couple on skillful speech. And you really scored on that one. I mean, you don't poke her abandonment button. It's great. You can call it right speech because it really worked nicely and everybody felt good. Yay. May it persist. Quiet group this morning. Can you hear the rain on the tent?
Yes.
Yes. Nice.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Meg.
Hi. I just wanted to share a nice experience I had this morning. We have some rats in our attic, and it has been a good practice because I felt a lot of aversion and hatred for these little things that are waking us up in the middle of the night. And this morning you were talking about equanimity, and I just had a thought that was like, what if I didn't need to hate the rats? And I started like sending the rats love in my meditation, which was just sort of a fun and new practice. So thank you for that. I can dislike and not have to feel so
Lovely.
angry.
Great. Thank you. It makes me think, have you ever read my Killing Ratty story? If you go to robertbeatty.com and look for resources, there's a newsletter article that I wrote way back when for PIMC newsletter about when we discovered we had rats in the basement, and I planned to live in harmony with them until one ran over my daughter's foot, my teenage daughter's foot. And so it's a story about using the precepts and taking care of the problem, but suffering with it. You might enjoy it.
I'm gonna look it up. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to need to leave in about 4 or 5 minutes. Let's see, is there someone else? Anybody else sitting with something this morning?
Hey, Robert.
It's
It's Tempest.
Tempest. Hello.
Hello, Sangha. I was actually just thinking about how you were mentioning the Bob Dylan song that sort of played in your mind over and over after your first retreat.
Yeah.
During my first retreat, there was all this music in my head constantly, and even in my dreams, and it was a silent retreat. And I would sometimes wake up singing, which was very embarrassing because I shared a room with other people.
Uh-huh.
But it was so interesting to me how this practice like drew up songs that I hadn't even heard in like 15 years.
Yep.
But they were still there in my brain. Entire song. I just didn't even know I had all that in my head. It was very interesting. I also have the visualization thing where I'm constantly sort of daydreaming, visualizing. But at the time, I was just like very curious about it. Just like, why is it that sitting in meditation for 10 hours a day brought up music for when I was 5?
Yeah. Well, sensory deprivation. You start really seeing what's in there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, friends, I should go and be on time for the board meeting. So I will say thank you for coming this morning, and I will look forward to being with you tomorrow. And let's do the Yashakur practice. I like the quietness of that. Yashakur from the Sufis, 101 beautiful names of God, hands to the heart, and then we cast it over each other, Yashakur, and it's done when one meets another person. And the meaning is how exquisitely the one is manifesting to me in this moment as you. Or you can use the God word if you want. How exquisitely the mysterious universe is manifesting to me in this moment as you. So let's do it 3 times. Yashakur. 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 Happy trails, my dear friends. See you soon.
Have a good day.
Yep, there's the unmute. I forgot to do that. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey, Robert.
Bye-bye.
Oh. Goodbye, Steph. We forgot the boys. Bye-bye. Didn't sing this morning. I love you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day, Stephanie. All right. There we go. Update available. New version. You have 5002. What the heck? Update. Goodbye. Hope you got to participate in this to some degree and had a solid